Kevin, so my guy,
Yes.
I'm a salesperson.
Okay.
I have a psychology background.
Yeah.
And some of the most important things are the words that you use whenever
Of
you're
course.
talking to someone,
Of
right?
course, yep.
In a sales conversation, every question you ask, everything you throw out has to be intentional. Now, my question to you is help me understand how you take that core principle and apply it in the marketing that you do, the copy. Because one thing that I have walked away from my time with you in understanding, and this is what I want you to pull apart here, is the framing of things and all the intentionality that you put in to a funnel from the ad copy, everything. So just let's see where you go from there.
Okay, that's a big question. The first thing I want to say is I don't see marketing any different from sales. I just see it sales is one-on-one, marketing is sales at scale.
Yes.
That's really all it is. I'm still trying to communicate the same things, but I would say marketing is a lot harder because there's less room for error. Because everything is digital, there's no back and forth.
Right.
When I'm making a video sales letter, I have to anticipate what they're thinking and pre-answer and pre-handle everything that could come up in their head because I'm not there to talk it out with them. And so the better you market, the less you have to sell, right? And that's always my job is I take extreme ownership over my job as a marketer because like for anybody watching, there's a difference between a media buyer, and I've got an ads guy and I've got a funnel guy. Okay, I love hearing that stuff because it's like you have somebody who has a box that they play within and that's all they care about. And they're like, I sent you X amount of leads. I'm done. Right. And my job as a marketer, I'm like, if you're the head of the sales team, sales director, and you're like, hey, this is what my guys are dealing with. Cool. How can I frame them better? How can I write a new ad to bring in more people? How can I improve the landing or the confirmation page to make sure that we're framing people right coming into the sales call? How can I change the structure of the VSL? How can I change how many emails we're sending out? Okay, what about if we change I'm always thinking about all these little things so that way I can give you layup deals.
See, and that's the biggest piece right here is I like to say like salespeople are not magicians.
Yes.
Like even the best salespeople, they don't just wave a wand and people hand out money. That's not how it works.
Right.
You need to have someone who understands the process on the front end like yourself, who gets those people ready to buy. And then the salesperson's job is to then take the 10, 20% that's lingering in their mind of why this doesn't make sense or why they shouldn't do this and to help them feel safe enough to go forward with the transaction. But if you don't have proper marketing in place, that is a rough spot to be as a salesperson.
And that's the whole thing. And so it's like, I'm going to cook here. I'm going to throw out a bunch of different stuff. But in relation to the sales process is like I see sales process as a spectrum. It's not a light switch. It's a radio dial, which is like somebody's not sold or not. They're not sold or unsold. You know what I mean? Like it's not one or the other.
Exactly.
It's a spectrum of information. And I believe that in selling and marketing, because again, I fundamentally believe they are the same thing. They're just in different forms. Marketing is selling at scale. We're really trying to take somebody from cold all the way to sold. And that we have to do different things to push them up that spectrum. A lot of that is delivering information in different formats and at different kinds of information, different formats of information at different points in the sales process.
Right.
And when you master all those things, that's how you build what I call a funnel, because Russell Brunson made a funnel a very popular term. And I think a lot of people are like, ooh, what's a funnel? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if we're talking to creators.
It's got this allure
Yeah,
to
they're like, what's a funnel? A funnel is not a series of pages. That's not what it is. People are like, oh, my funnel. I'm like, oh, I'm going to take them here, then I'm going to take them here. And like at a high level, that's what it is. That's a customer journey. A funnel in its most generic sense is just what a customer sees from not knowing you to buying your shit.
Yes.
That's a funnel.
Exactly.
Everything that goes on in that process is part of your funnel. But it may not be a page. It could be a reach out from a salesperson. It could be an automated message. It could be a page. It could be a YouTube video. It could be a retargeting ad. It could be an email.
Nothing is by accident.
Yeah, nothing's by accident, but it's also all encompassing. It's just like a funnel is a journey. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just it's the dating process in selling a product, right?
Yeah.
Is how I see a funnel. And there's so many different ways to do it. All right, how can we
here's
me back
something
in with the marketing thing? Reel me back in.
So like what would you say are some of the different strategies, maybe positive and negative that you see in this space? And why do you gravitate towards certain strategies versus others?
Fantastic question. So a super common one, especially among creators, especially among creators, is DM ad strategies. And so generally what this looks like is, hey, I have this Instagram account. I have 10, 20, 30,000 followers. I'm making 20, 30, 40K a month. I want to scale up. Cool. And so the common advice is to run follower ads and then just frantically DM everybody who reaches out.
Right.
And I'll admit, that process works. Yeah. I'm not one of these grifter donkeys who's like, oh, that that says like, no, that.
We're going to get back to that.
Yeah. I'm not one of these people that says that. I hate when people are like, that strategy doesn't work or this strategy is dead. Are you kidding me? Like, there's very little room for absolute language in marketing, which is like never and always.
That applies to life.
Almost never apply, right? In terms of like what works and what doesn't work. So DM ads absolutely work, but my God, are they volatile? And it's like you might have super good quality and a ton of conversions, and then you might have nothing and really bad quality. And like it's a roller coaster of a business. And it's like,
also it has massive constraints on it too.
Yeah, because you're managing an army of setters. And so it's like if I'm hiring setters from the Philippines, or if I'm hiring an actual like trained setter who speaks fluent English in this country, it's like, first of all, you're going to be paying them a lot if you're hiring from this country. If you're hiring from another country, you're going to have to deal with time zone issues. You're going to have to deal with training issues. You're going to have to deal with just like core competencies, because you're not paying them a lot. And so they might not understand the softwares that you're having them use or the processes, and they might take more reps. And then it's like, well, now you got to factor in if this person is $4 an hour versus $40 an hour, but this person is 1/10 as efficient, you're actually breaking even. But I would argue that there's more operational drag on this person because you got to have more of them, right? So it's like, that's the big drawback I see with the DM ads thing. But it's super common because it's easy. Anybody can slap up a follower ad. Anybody can start DMing people. And yes, it absolutely does work. People are like, oh, my show rates are really high. I'm like, yeah, but you have to hire an army of setter of which you're going to pay a piece of your commission to along the way, and you're going to pay a piece of the commission to the closer. So by the time you factor in ad spend, commission for the setter, commission for the closer, you're not really taking home that much. So that's strategy number one. And then the reason I spent so much time on that one is because that one's by far the most popular.
Yeah.
Number two is call funnels. So these are like straight up VSL. And sometimes you have people opt in, sometimes you don't. But it's like a curated 5 to 15 minute pitch. Sometimes in cases it's 30 minutes or even longer if you're selling to more general population people. And this is just a curated pitch, a curated journey explaining like what we have to offer, why you should listen to us, proof that it works, and then what to do next. And then there's usually an application below that. And this is a great strategy. I think it balances a beautiful middle ground between webinars, workshops, summits, live virtual events, which is kind of our cachet, and then the DM ads. Because it's not as high touch as the DM ads, but it's not as much like work and effort to set up as like a virtual event, right? So you kind of have like a unique set of I guess what's the word I'm looking for? You have a unique set of characteristics with that funnel. The only problem with that is, and then I'm experiencing in some of the companies that we're working with now that the business owners are not aware of, is that a call funnel is not magic. I can generate calls for $50 a call, but those people are going to be cold. They watched 4 minutes of a VSL.
They went from not knowing you to seeing you for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and it's like they may have come from your warm audience, which is where I always start, because that's the easiest, most forgiving place to start paid advertising.
Right.
Cold paid ads is like you're throwing your nuts on the table if you're going to be going to cold paid ads. Like, people don't know you, they're super unforgiving, and you're spending money to get in front of them. And so that's why working with Creator, that's why we work with them, because they've done the hard part of building the warm audience and people who know, like, and trust them. Now let's just get your offer in front of them and making sure that there's people waiting in your audience, right? Who want to buy your stuff.
Button up tier one.
Yeah, they're waiting for your call. And then, Pixel Data, you can season your account with, conversions from your warm audience, but that's a whole nother conversation. Point is like, these people on average have probably watched 30% of your VSL, if you're lucky. And then they apply. And I get some of the companies that we work for, they're like, why are they not showing up sold to the call? Why are they canceling? Why are they no-showing me? I'm like, because they don't know who you are. They were just interested enough to book a call, but you have to think of interest as a spectrum, right? I say curious, interested, intent, convicted. Convicted is when deals happen. So as an SDR of a company and as a marketer, I'm like, what can I do to bump that person up? That is like the sales process.
Moving them along the spectrum from cold to sold, as you said.
Exactly, right? And it's just like every little thing I'm doing, and people assume that, oh, this person, they no-showed or they're not interested. Like, oh, they're not qualified. No. There's a difference. Rookies and amateurs are like, this person's not interested, therefore they're not qualified.
Right.
That's loser hour.
Massive mistake.
That's I'm not good enough, so I'm going to blame them and say that they're not qualified. That couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is that unqualified and not interested are two different things. I can be perfectly qualified on paper, meet all of your demographics, your income requirements, everything, but I'm just not interested because you haven't given me a reason to be interested yet.
Right.
And that's where a lot of the marketing stuff comes in. So that's CallFunnels. And then what we do mainly, and again, it's not a one or the other. It's kind of a mix of everything depending on what the business needs, is workshops. They all have different names. So when I'm say workshop, webinar, summit, live event, virtual event, I mean all the same thing, which is we get a bunch of people on Zoom, we make a great presentation over 1, 2, 3, or however many days, and we sell them something expensive at the end. That's a virtual event, right? Okay?
Yeah.
That when I say that word, that's what I mean. And so the reason these work so well is because you can sell one-to-many, and so you have ultimate leverage for the creator, who is the visionary. You can get them in front, and some of the clients we run, they're in rooms of thousands and thousands of people that responded to my ads, opted in on the landing page, go through Nadim's Zap, spider web he sets up, and gets all the data to all the places it needs to be, right? And they show up on Zoom, and we get thousands of people. They stay through, they get value, they're excited, they're blowing up the chat, and we make them an offer. Like, the amount of leverage there, like I would think that's every creator's dream, is being able to have, like if I told you as a creator, and I'm like, I can get 3,000 people of your ideal client, say like 60% of them are your ideal client, I can get them in a room, and they're gonna sit here and they're gonna listen to you for 2 hours, pitch them on your stuff. How's that sound? And we're going to do it all for you.
Exactly.
Exactly. Are you interested? You know what I mean?
It's funny because I remember the first virtual workshop that I attended. It was like a 2-day workshop. Mm-hmm. It was for someone who was offering something that I was already interested in. So I was probably part of their warm audience.
Yep.
And I went through the workshop and I was selling insurance. And I remember calling Nadim and was like, dude, you have to do one of these for Somatics.
Yeah.
Like, you have to. And I broke down kind of how it worked. We literally knew nothing at this point. And I mean, how fast did you guys put that together? I mean, you put it together fast. I remember being on the phone with you and Jaggers like, hey, this is what they did. I know nothing else. And he was already getting into funnels and stuff. And so they put it together, and that first one ripped. And it was just, after that, it's just a constant process of curating that experience. And it's just continued to, it's like a Russian doll. Like, there's so many layers within it. Yeah. And that's what I like what you're laying out here, is that even that one strategy has layers, but there's also layers of strategies. And it's finding which ones to put in the right places for this audience, for this creator, that create that domino effect of taking people very effectively from cold to sold.
Which is why people pay us a lot of money. Like, it's not cheap to work with us.
They wouldn't pay us a lot of money if they weren't making a lot of money.
That too, but also it's just like businesses pay us a lot of money. Not because, it doesn't matter. So the analogy I think of this is like the plumber comes to your house, right? And he, takes a look under the sink. Say you have like some big leak under the sink that's like ruining your cabinet. You call the plumber. Cool. He comes over, and within 15 minutes, like, yeah, it's this, that. You bend. Well, I'll replace this part. We'll be good to go, right? So he fixes it in 15 minutes. He's like, that'll be $3,000. And you're like, $3,000? You were here for 15 minutes. And it's like, you're not paying the plumber for banging the wrench. You're paying the plumber for the 25 years it took him to know where to bang the wrench.
Exactly.
That's exactly what we do when we come in your business and we audit your marketing. Is like, I know in a call funnel, there's like 13 metrics I can look at, starting from link click-through rate and hook rate on ads, to play rate, to engagement rate, to application rate, to question drop-off rate, to show rate, to close rate. And I can look at all those metrics, offer rate if you want to really get granular with it. I can look at all those metrics, and because I've seen it so many times, I'm like, it's metric number 6. We play the doubles game.
Exactly.
We go through and we're like, what's the number one constraint, the biggest kink in the hose that's preventing throughput? And it's like, unless you want to do that as a business owner, that's why you're going to pay us a ton of money, because we're going to come in there, we're going to unkink that part, and then we're going to move to the next.
Most businesses don't even know where that information lives.
Right. Yeah. They're like, what's an engagement rate? I'm like, yeah. Okay. And you spend money on this platform? That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's why, because they see the value in that. And it's like, there's going to always be a portion of the audience that's going to be the do-it-yourselfers. And like, I've been down that road. I feel that way. I feel like a do-it-yourselfer every single day, because I'm always in new situations of growing. Because it's like, even if we get a company to double its revenue, it's like, okay, how can we double it again? how can we double it again? You know what I mean? It's just like, how can we continue to play the doubles game?
Yeah.
And that brings new levels of solving problems for that particular business. And it's just a big thing I see in the industry where people are so definitive, and that's just fundamentally not my brand, where it's like, this works for everybody and it's guaranteed to work and you can expect this result. I'm like, no. Every business is so different. And when we work with creators, we're working with personal brands, which almost by definition means they're unique.
Right.
And their audience they sell to is unique and their offer is likely unique. And so I have a strategy that I think might work. It's probable to work if we do everything right, but it's not a guarantee to work. You know what I mean? Like, as a marketer, my job is to be slightly better at guessing than you, the business owner. And that slight difference in guessing is worth, to some businesses, tens of thousands, others, hundreds of thousands, and some millions or tens of millions. That slight difference in guessing is where all the leverage comes. Because again, we know how to come into the business, audit those 13 metrics. Not only do we know which one to point at, we now have 7 playbooks that we're like, cool, we're going to start with the simplest. We're going to deploy. We're going to start making changes. We're going to see what happens. We're going to move on to the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. And we're doing that all in the background just because we have the reps. I think of marketing as an inverse, not a lot of people think of marketing, they're like, who can I pull in? I'm like, how can I disqualify everybody who's wrong? It's like inverse, right? Like people are like, oh, I think of my marketing as a magnet. I think of mine as a filter, which is I'm
allowing certain things to pass through and filtering out others.
Because I fundamentally put myself up here and the prospect down here, not in a morality sense,
okay,
but in a sense of I have the solution to their problem. They need me, right? Like I have the solution. So you have to qualify to me to show that I can help you, right? Versus the other way around. I'm not going to chase you. You know what I mean? That's a whole other thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a creator.
Yep.
And I'm doing 20 to 30 grand a month.
Yeah.
Right? The example you gave earlier. And I'm just noticing my content's not hitting. Like the algorithm fucking hates me.
Okay.
Clearly. I've been shadow banned.
Yeah.
Like something's going on. Mark Zuckerberg's doing some weird stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just super frustrated. I come to you and I give you this problem.
Yep.
What am I missing?
Okay, that is a tough one. The first thing I would say that I see in a lot of creators is their mindset around money holds them back.
Say more.
That is, I think, the biggest thing, which is that people fundamentally have a morality, good or bad, around making a lot of money. And ultimately, if you will not attract what you don't like. And so if you have this mindset around making a lot of money makes me a bad person, or if I make a lot of money, therefore I must be taking advantage of people to get it, you are never going to win. And so you need to, I don't care what you have to do, brainwash yourself, indoctrinate yourself, propaganda, whatever you need, but you need to convince yourself.
Can I burn Palo Santo?
Whatever you need, man. Like, you need to convince yourself that making money is a good thing, and go one step further, that making not enough of it is a bad thing. Like, you need to totally drink the Kool-Aid. And again, this sounds so superficial, but what I mean is, like, when you break away from having a ton of emotion around money, you realize that with no money, there's no mission and there's no message. How am I going to run ads to reach people who desperately need my help if I don't have money to send to Zuckerberg? How am I going to hire amazing stallion grade A level talent to work for me to help reach more people if I don't have money? How am I going to be motivated to want to put in 3 a.m. nights to get this thing off the ground to reach people who need my help if I'm not making money and it's not worth my time? How am I going to do all those things with no money, right? Let's take the inverse of that. Is a coach who's making $3,000 a month, who's not our target audience, by the way, but let's say a coach who's making $3,000 a month. How many people could they possibly be helping? Like, people think like, oh, I'm going to charge less and I'm going to help this person more. It's the opposite. Because people who don't pay attention. If you pay $5,000 for something, probably gonna pay attention, right? If you pay $5 for something, probably not gonna pay attention. And so when you undercharge people, thinking you're doing them a service, oh, I can help more people, you're hurting every single one of them because they're not gonna pay attention to it. And so they buy cheap, they buy twice. Okay, so I have so many thoughts around money mindset because it's so critical. And so that's the first piece is breaking. Like, I think that's the range where people really need to break away from. If you want to make $100,000 a month, $1 million a month, you need to break away from that mindset of money being bad. Next thing is the whole content thing, which is you're probably not shadow banned. Your content probably just is not hitting the way that you think. It's not probably not as good as you think it is. And so that just comes down to an analysis of if I've having the volume of posts to be like, if you've posted 100 times, don't contact me. You posted 300 times, don't contact me. If you've posted like 500, 1,000, 2,000 times, cool. You have the volume to actually look at things and be like, cool, this is the top 10%. Let's probably try and do more of that. Here's the bottom 10%. Let's probably try to do less of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do that every 90 days. That's how you systematically make better content. The market is telling you what it likes and what it doesn't like. Literally. Just do more of that. The problem is that a lot of people, they're like, ooh, or a lot of creators rather, they're like, views are the thing, or likes are the thing, or followers are the thing. I personally, I optimize pages and make content for conversion, sales, and trust, not necessarily virality, views, followers, and engagement. That's just stuff. It's just surface level. Like it's vanity metrics at the end of the day. So those would be the first two things that I'd address. And I know none of those are tactical.
So let's just say I've fixed my mindset.
Yep.
I'm now no longer attached. I'm moving forward. I'm motivated, all the things. I've dialed my content in.
Yep.
Right? But it's still hit or miss because that's just the nature of content.
Of course.
And I'm sitting there going like, I want to grow, but I literally don't know what to do. Like I could make more content. I could focus on making better content. I feel like I'm doing that. But like, what the fuck am I missing?
Right. And so that I think is where you're going to have to go into a period of pain because it's going to require it. Like making new levels of revenues are going to require being uncomfortable for a little bit and probably along a bit and settling into that process. But to that person, truly, if you have the money mindset dialed in and you know you want to grow and you are convicted in growing and you are making enough money to the point where you have capital that you can risk to reinvest into the business.
I'm ready to do that. I just don't know what to do.
Right. If you check all of those boxes, that's where I would consider running a virtual event because you're like, if you have a service, it's a high ticket service that makes the economics work out, and we financially model stuff. So it's like, I'll be able to tell you based on industry averages, conversion rates, cost per lead, CPMs, and whatever your offer rate is and what you normally close at. I'll be able to tell you whether or not your money model is going to work. Before we've built a thing, I can be like, this is not going to work. It's going to work, right? Obviously, there's margin of error there, but assuming all of that checks out, like the next step is you need to you got to move away from the DM selling, which is how I think most creators get started.
Correct.
Some start with ads right away, but that's rare because for some reason ads are seen as risky. I don't get it, but that's their thing. So they're like, well, I'm going to keep making organic content. I'm going to keep DMing people. And you just have to decide to make like, hey, I want this thing to go big. And so I'm going to invest into running a virtual event. And maybe it's not a 3-day live workshop on day one. Yeah. Maybe it's just a call funnel. Perfect.
Break down for me real quick because you said this and I just want to make sure we hit it. Why is ads not risky in your opinion? Because I've talked to so many people where that really is a big fear. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, I'm going to, how much do I need to spend?
Right.
10, 20, 50,000? Like, oh, that feels risky.
Right. Okay.
Am I going to the casino and I'm putting it all in black and I'm just like hoping for the best?
I think Meta Ads is the casino of Zuckerberg, but you can win in that casino.
Okay, so help us understand how you win in that casino.
Okay, I'm going to make this full circle. If I said I was going to give you $10 million, but you couldn't wake up tomorrow, would you take it? Like you weren't going to wake up tomorrow. Okay, no. So what that proves to me is that time and like human life is more important than money, right? So we can agree that time is more important than money, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now if we translate that to content versus ads, I can give Meta $100 and they're going to show my ad to X amount of people. And I can make one ad and guarantee it gets seen. And I get to harness their, $1 trillion client finding AI. But that's another story. I can guarantee my ad gets seen. Yeah. Versus I go out and I make organic content. I have to grind those impressions out because the platform is self-serving. It does not care about me. It cares about keeping people on the platform. And so if my content helps it do that, fantastic. I get all the reach in the world. If it doesn't do that, which most often times the content that gets clients is not the content that goes viral, essentially by definition, because viral by definition means mass market. And if you have a niche specific offer, that is by definition not viral.
No filter,
right?
Good filter.
Exactly. So people who tell me I would rather make organic content only to get the impressions I need to fulfill my financial model and make my business work are telling me time is less important than money. When we just proved 2 minutes ago that time is more important than money. Makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I would rather pay money to go faster than to just make things take longer because I know I'm going to figure it out. And again, this whole thing is built on this fundamental belief that you can figure it out. If you don't believe you can figure it out, like, please never work with us because like it's not going to work because like you have to have this belief that I will run into problems and I will solve them.
Right.
Because there's known knowns, there's known unknowns, and there's unknown unknowns. And it's that last category that you're like, I don't know what potholes I'm going to smash into, but I'm confident in my ability to fix the car on the way.
So tell me how the financial modeling helps you avoid the potholes or know which potholes you might be running into. Because one of the things that I see is I don't know how the modeling works.
Yeah.
And so it feels like I'm putting this money into a black box and I'm hoping I get money out, but I really don't know.
Right.
So just round that edge out.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of creators, that's their hesitation in potentially working with an agency like us, is they're like, I give you money, how do I get it back?
Right.
Makes perfect sense. And that's a very complicated answer because we're doing so many steps and we're implementing so many different things. Can you ask your question again?
Yeah, just give me the generic sense of why the money modeling, the financial modeling,
that's right,
allows me to have a greater degree of confidence in the ads that I'm spending money on.
Yeah.
Versus what I think most people think is just, I'm going to put this money out there and I have no idea what's going to happen next. I'm hoping that I get more money back. People tell me I could get money back.
Right.
But I don't actually understand the process of what's happening. And what I'm trying to get people to see is that there is multiple layers that are happening behind the scene that we're looking at.
Yeah.
In making sure that when we say, yes, we're going to spend these dollars for you, we know with a much higher degree of certainty. It is not roulette. It is not, I'm just throwing the dice and I'm hoping it doesn't land on 7.
Right. Great question. First thing I would say is that no ads, no campaign I ever run and I ever touch is 100% guarantee.
Exactly.
Major disclaimer. But in terms of the financial model, the value of a financial model is I can tell based on industry averages if it's even going to make sense. Because if you're paying $5 a lead, and I know that 1 out of every 100 leads is going to buy, so that would be $500, right? No, yeah, 500. Never do math live. So the point I'm getting at is I can figure out if your model is going to work before we've even done it based on industry averages. And that's a huge benefit you get with working with an agency like us because we have our hands in businesses doing the same thing, like running the same strategy, but in different industries. We can be like, over here in the back pain niche, this is what we're experiencing. Over here in the breathwork niche, this is what. Over here in the relationship niche, over here in the fitness niche, over here in the alternative education. Like we have our hands in so many things. It's like you get that cumulative experience when you sign with us. Again, that goes back to the whole plumber thing, which is like you're not just buying our time. You're buying all the time we've ever spent on every other client project we've ever done.
Right.
So unless you want to go through and do all of those projects yourself to learn what we learned, you're getting to speed run that. And so that's where the financial model comes in because we can tell you with a reasonable degree of certainty based on everything that we've seen, whether it's probable to work or not probable to work. And again, everything is based on confidence intervals. Nothing is ever conclusive, okay? And with a scientific background, it's not about what's right and wrong. It's about what can we best support at this given time, at this given moment. That's all it ever is. So it's like, nothing's ever a guarantee, but this is what we believe can happen. And the financial model is not necessarily to say if something's going to work or it's not. Let me restate that. A financial model is not necessarily designed to predict the level of a success a funnel will have. In my eyes, a financial model is about, is this doomed to fail?
Right.
It's damage control.
We can weed out the things that we know for sure will not work.
Exactly.
And we give ourselves greater and greater degrees of confidence that there is an opportunity for this to work.
Yes. I don't really look too much into whether or not my financial model says I'll get a 3x ROAS or a 4x ROAS.
Right.
I want to know, am I doomed to sink this ship before I make it across the ocean?
Right.
That's what a financial model is designed to tell me to do.
And I think that's one of the things that creators are hoping to avoid.
Right. So it's like, if you give me all your numbers, I can plug them into a model and I'm like, cool, this is going to work or it's not going to work.
Yeah.